includes Surfside. And this morning, I've had an opportunity not only to participate in Mayor Levine Cava's briefing, intergovernmental briefing, but to sit down and talk with our national experts from NIST, which is the similar agency that reviews and comes in to decide whether a full investigation will be necessary for structural damage, building collapses. They were investigators in 9/11. They were investigators in a number of structural incidents around the country, and are the best of the best when it comes to making sure that they do a complete and thorough overview. They're in a preliminary investigation right now to determine whether or not they open a full investigation. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I would expect that it is natural that they would decide to do that. And their role is to very forensically review, as the process of going through the rubble, even during the search and rescue process, to help make sure that evidence is preserved, which they're working with the task force on debris to do that, to make sure that even with the Army Corps of Engineers that is embedded in their team, to take a look at some of the issues that have arisen anecdotally, but the issues like the questions around the structural damage to the pool, that area that has been mentioned, and other different points of weakness. They will look through that preliminary investigation and determine whether they open a full investigation, and that is triggered when they get a sense of, after their preliminary review, of whether or not any decisions and fact-finding that they engage in as a result of that investigation can have longer-term implications and recommendations for how we change federal oversight, federal law related to building construction and the kind of code enforcement decisions that will have to be made on the ground. So it's really important and very significant that they're here as early as they have been, because getting them here, embedded with the debris task force, making sure that they advise on how evidence should be preserved once law enforcement takes over, will give them a better chance of answering the question that I know I've been asked over and over. We all have been, okay, how are we going to deal with the long-term implications of this? Did this only impact just this building? We have, as we've said, structures like this all the way up the coastline, all the way up the coastline of the United States. And what NIST will be able to help do is, they're a fact-finding, not a fault-finding agency, and a long-term investigation of theirs would give us a chance, for me, as a member of Congress, to be able to to adopt changes in federal law that will help them make sure that when structures are built, that something like this could never happen again. So I'll continue to be engaged with our very seamless local, state, and national leaders so that we can make sure that we continue the whole of government approach where there's no daylight between any of us. Thank you so much, and thank you, Mayor Levine Cava, for all your work.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And Governor DeSantis. Well, I had a chance to meet with a number of the urban search and rescue teams today, and as I have seen them, of course, over the last many days, but they've been going at it for over 100 hours straight. When there's danger, they run towards it. They obviously shepherded a lot of people to safety initially, and they have been every minute of every day since the building collapsed trying to identify survivors. They're putting themselves at risk in order to do that, not only because you could have additional collapse. You've had deep-seated fires that they've had to fight. It's been an incredibly hazardous environment, and they've been on the scene nonstop from the very beginning. So I just want to thank them for what they've done. We obviously have some other folks throughout the state that have been able to also come and supplement, but those teams here in South Florida, they're the best of the best. And we had the Israelis come in and take a look, and the Israelis told some of the families what those Miami-Dade search and rescue folks did is exactly what we would have done, exactly what should have been done. And so I think it's a testament, our best in the country here in South Florida, some of the best in the world. Obviously, Israel coming over, they deserve a lot of credit for putting themselves out there. And obviously, the search continues, and it will not stop until there's a resolution. So thank you for that. We're also working in conjunction with FEMA, as well as in conjunction with both local government and private organizations donations to bring relief services to the family members, and that involves relocation assistance. It involves things like mental health counseling, and we have folks, we've beefed that up here on the ground, and what we want to do is, working with FEMA, identify all the families, get them registered face-to-face, which FEMA is doing and is doing a good job of, and be able to provide these services. I have the head of Volunteer Florida is on the ground to help coordinate with all the great volunteer organizations. The outpouring with the charitable donations has been incredible, millions of dollars, and I think there's going to be millions of more. So it's a testament to this community here in Surfside, as well as the greater Miami-Dade area, and as well as Florida and the United States, because people from all across the country have been involved in that. So those recovery efforts from the family of helping them get back on their feet, helping them cope with trauma, that's going to be ongoing. And this is something that's going to require community involvement, local government, state government, and FEMA for a while, and we're in that for the long haul. The final thing is, of course, rescue number one, care for the people that have been displaced number two, but we do obviously need to identify why this happened. I was able to meet with the NIST folks today, and they were created after 9/11. They've done a handful of really thorough investigations since their creation. 9/11, they did Joplin, Missouri, from the tornadoes. They're doing Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. They did a Rhode Island nightclub fire that happened almost 20 years ago. And so they've never done just a straight building collapse that wasn't involved with either hazards or terrorism. And so this is going to be something that's important. It is something that's going to be very thorough, and it is something that is not going to happen in a day or two. This is going to take a long time. That's the time horizon they work on, and I understand that. What I've told Mayor Burkett in Surfside, as well as Mayor Cava, because Surfside has retained people to look in, and then obviously Miami-Dade with the state attorney, they're doing an investigation. I think those investigations may be able to provide us with some information maybe a little sooner than an NIST, and I think that's important, because if there are things that need to be done at the state level, we obviously would want to get information as soon as possible. And so we've pledged at the state, if they need support from engineers, from experts, whatever we need, whether it's Surfside, Miami-Dade, we're here to help. I think the people of Florida want to understand, how could this happen, and then what could we do to make sure it doesn't happen again. And so we'll be working on that for the long term. But in the interim, thank you for everybody who's going through that rubble. Thank you for being on the front lines for us. Your work is very, very important, and it's been very, very selfless.
Thank you, Governor. And now Lieutenant Governor Jeanette.